Thank you. Good morning. My name is Louise Carr. I'm an advanced learning practitioner from Hadlow College. I have a teaching role. At the moment I'm working with initial teacher education, but I've also been teaching access to HE. My subject specialism is English is for academic purposes. Those will all kind of come through in the theme as we go through. Just to let you know who we are and where we are, this sort of helps a little bit with the context. We're in the mixed economy group, so we're an FE college which also has an HE programme. So we have a wide range of age groups for students, and we also have a variety of faculties, so horticulture, equine studies, international agriculture, countryside, rural activities, fisheries, animal management, which is our biggest faculty. And we're based in about a 200-acre campus between Tunbridge and Maidstone in North Kent. So how did we get started? I guess we're relatively new. I'd been thinking about looking at Mahara for a while, but we really got started when an external examiner for a new degree programme, BSc Equine Sports Therapy and Rehabilitation, was posed. We said we wanted to put this degree on, and they said you need an e-portfolio to help you collect all the evidence for this module, and that's why there's going to be a lot of equine, and the theme is the horses. So it's because this is where it really sort of started with the equine course. And at this point, thank you to Sparshot College. I know they were here yesterday. I spoke to one of their team, but it was one of the members of the faculty at Sparshot who shared their expertise early on in the adoption of our use of e-portfolios in Mahara. And that just demonstrated how a community of practice is central to successful adaptation for any of these projects, I think. And it's a theme that I'll come back to. It kind of runs through this. Okay, so academic year 13-14, we had pilot projects. The institution said you can go ahead, but run it as a pilot. So my course got to be guinea pigs, the access to HE, and also obviously the course that started it all, the sports therapy and rehabilitation. What very different outcomes for both of those modules that we tested on. The first one, very much about going through the year. The students were reviewing and planning for the future. They had academic study skills to evidence. They were thinking about their UCAS applications, what their professional profile degree, what it would all look like in 5 years. So it was that journey for them. Sports therapy, it's work-based learning. They were out doing experience, and they needed to reflect on practice, looking at complementary treatments and so on. So it was just myself and my colleague. We ran the courses and the portfolios differently. We tried out different approaches completely. So if I just move us on to a couple. He chose to template. So this is one of the debates that we've been having in the last couple of days. He said we need to template, and I said I don't want to go there. And it was quite interesting to see how we compared those two things. What we discovered was that in the end, this is one from my students that didn't have any template, and that's what they did in the first year. So I found that eventually they produced very varied and original work, which told me a lot about them. And for that course, that's what I wanted to know. It told me about their learning and the way they were learning. However, we did find that others were disengaged by the freedom to explore. They felt almost like they needed permission, and it limited them, and they were also limited by their lack of digital experience. So at the end of that first academic year, we had a review, and we thought about our initial findings. Our students had a similar profile. They were of mixed age groups, they had various IT skills, they had a range of experience with social media. But what we found were very similar problems. The students were engaged more quickly with the template, but then they became less adventurous. They did not really associate college media and social media. So they would take pictures on their phone straight away of stuff they were doing, but they wouldn't be loading it straight up to Mahara. I think we're all kind of finding very similar things. They felt sometimes they needed permission to be creative. I think this reflects more on their confidence perhaps as independent learners rather than their confidence with IT. But anyway, what we discovered that was we needed to introduce pages early, we needed to give a lot of support, we needed to give specific portfolio tasks and dates to meet those tasks, and then give individual tutorials and use those almost as a formative assessment. So when you see me in 2 weeks, I need you to have done X, we're going to put it up on the computer, we're going to talk through it, and I'll give you some feedback. So Mahara was being used then in the institution. We use it as an assessment tool, we use it to create an inclusive learning environment, and we use it as a teaching and learning resource as well, developing employability, the soft skills, the digital literacy. And those team meetings, those regular sharing of ideas and working out our problems together actually then became the core of what later evolved to be a standardisation framework which we use now across the college. So, what next? 1415, we have an equine spa on one of our sites. So, very exciting. 1415, the next academic year, we decided that, or the institution gave us the go-ahead to become a bit more adventurous. So the senior management team said we could extend the project to all HE programmes and one additional FE course. And for the following year, we needed a model, therefore, to support both the staff and the students who are engaged in those activities. And I did a presentation to the foundation learning group, which was the FE group. These are entry-level learners, mixed ages, nearly all have some degree of learning disability or difficulty. So the foundation learning, what really shone through was the commitment. They just went for it completely. All learners were using the portfolio right from the beginning. All staff teaching those learners bought into the portfolio. It was used across 3 different sites. They're now in their 2nd year of delivery. It was the commitment, the confidence. They put a lot of strong templates in. They needed to have a competency framework for City and Guilds, who are their awarding body. A lot of support from colleagues and sharing of expertise within the team. And this is their current Moodle page. And they've actually I put a cross by what's your favourite part of the course and e-portfolios, and that's how they would access it. And the soft skills that have gone around that as well, really, really supporting that course. Very successful. The HE courses, it went in at, actually I'll take it back, we can look at that. 2nd year, all degree programmes across all faculties. They have a unit called Introducing Industrial Experience and Skills Development, and all of them were doing this. Different faculties have different programmes, different requirements, but they've adapted the Mahara aspect to support their programme design. The largest faculty, Animal Management, have got about 4 or 5 degree courses running, and they used a single template which was drawn from the paper-based because that's what they needed to meet the assessment criteria. But within that, the learners had individual freedom, how they made entries then around that template to evidence their industrial experience year. And what that then led us to realise is that we had a community of practice, and we began to look at the model of a community of practice within the organisation. And I just took a quote there from Etienne Wenger about what we were doing, and it just fits us. We were a group of people, we had common concerns and passions, and we were learning together how to do it better by interacting regularly. So what kind of things were we doing? Well, this all kind of led into the idea about, from our regular meetings, we thought we need to standardise across the college for ourselves but also for our learners. So the idea was to say that we're creating Mahara, the e-portfolio, is creating a personal learning space for our learners so they can retain their learning materials and their experiences. The portfolio must provide sufficient evidence to meet the requirements as an assignment, but they should also receive quick and effective feedback forming an ongoing developmental conversation. So we're developing those learning skills within the assignment. And it was also developing appropriate skills through reflective activities, and we linked it to our graduate attributes. Greenwich University is our awarding body for the degree programmes, so it's just known in-house as GGAs. And the idea was not to have to have this wider community. So the more people that were joining and coming in and putting in things, were there suddenly going, oh, actually we could also do this. So the wider, more diverse user group within the community gave us a range of ideas and possibilities, and this was now expanding. This is one of the pages that one of the second year degree students produced, and it was they had to create what would be like a web page. So the assignment was create what might work as a web page to demonstrate animal welfare, and they chose rabbits, and they had 3 or 4 pages. It was a collection. That's how their website might look, linking between. So that's one of the ideas that they came up with, using a portfolio for an assessment tool. So how do we spread the word? How do we move from the outer lurking areas of the community into the practice, and then developing within the practice? We have e-learning events. I give talks to heads of faculties to get their buy-in. We have regular program leader meetings where we're exchanging ideas and we're talking about what's working, what isn't. And we have special interest groups, so we meet and talk about what we're doing within our projects. So there's this constant conversation and moving towards the sort of more centre of the learning community. So the next stage was to standardise all courses, and we said that anybody that has a portfolio that's being introduced to students, that the assessors, lecturers and second markers need to have a basic level of understanding what this portfolio is and what it does and how it works, because you all need to access it. The students have a dedicated e-portfolio induction, and there are certain things that they all have to be told, because we didn't want learners in one programme to say, well, we weren't shown that, this isn't our experience. There's a baseline standard, what we hope is a high level of information given to all students who are using a portfolio. That they must receive constant feedback and review. You're not just thrown in, that you're supported, and the feedback is part of that developmental learning process. That also from our meetings we were discovering that there were issues that were coming through in the assignment brief design. So where you verify any assignment brief, there are things that need to be thought about differently when it's an e-portfolio submission. So we were talking about the assignment brief design. There are things you need to think about. What is the submission going to look like? How is it going to be moderated? What access will external moderators and verifiers need? What are the common considerations? So those things go out fully formed. It's not halfway through, oh, I'm not sure how my second marker is going to look at this. These ideas are discussed before the assignment brief is signed off. And when that induction to teachers who are new to portfolio teaching happens, they're also inducted into the community. Within Mahara itself, we have the Hadlow Teachers Group, and everybody gets invited in. And we share ideas there. We've recorded all the e-learning sessions that we've done. They're accessed there. They're all stored. There's opportunities for people to blog. New ideas get put up there. Links get put up there. And we just kind of record our activities and share ideas. It's kind of our safe play space. So what sort of things do we talk about at the programme leader meetings? So we have these about once a term, and we talk about what we're hearing from the students. We talk about why some programmes aren't being so successful. We talk about any issues that have happened around delivery, anything that we might need to take to IT department. We look at how we can support next year's inductions. So what else do people need to know if they're going to be included in this later? What was the most successful aspect? What might need changing? And if they know I'm coming to a conference like this, they send me with a shopping list, and this year is no exception. So this is the kind of thing that I would do. And some of the things that I've brought in this year, we've started to talk about I showed them the European Portfolio Project because there was so much student information and people who are not quite convinced this is the way we need to go. There was some really good student evidence that this is what they're looking for. So that's how I was selling it this year. Also this year we've put on, as I've moved into initial teacher training, so has the e-portfolio, and professional standards, very big in teacher training from this year. So I've templated to a minimal level all of the different professional standards and just kind of highlighted. So A1 is reflecting on what works best in my teaching and learning to meet the diverse needs of my learners. Within that section then, I'm asking the new trainees to just pop in ideas. It's their reflective space. They can put pictures, they can pull in from the CPD plugin, they can download from their Google apps, they can just put in text, they can pull across from journals, whatever they want to do. But it's also a way of embedding this, because once they become confident, they will put it into their programs and enhance their learners as well. And I know other institutions are looking at this too. And it's not just in academic now, we're also looking at it through student support services. This is a mock-up that I've done for my English for academic purpose support area, and it can go out on the secret URL. So you've got students who wouldn't perhaps have a portfolio, but at least they can work off the links from the one I have that takes them to appointments and other Moodle areas and dictionaries and apps and so on. And the Learning Resource Centre have been looking at this too, and they had badges on their shopping list for me to come back with information for them. So we're all the time looking at ways of how we can explore this. And if you've got students, I think, who have got this in assignments, if they see it popping up in other areas of the college, it all begins to tie up. So to summarise our whole college approach, most faculties now have at least one Mahara summative assignment task. There's a wide variety of task types being delivered. We've got web design, we've got reflection, competency, work-based learning, etc. All assessors use the same standardisation document and have to have approval from the e-learning group, really just to check that there is pedagogy behind the use of the portfolio. There's a wide community of practice with varying levels of participation, as you would expect, but we work with that model. We just talk to people and gradually the expertise is shared and we all gain. There are growing opportunities to build the community through sharing of college-wide good practice events, and that includes now students delivering at those college-wide learning events. And students are increasingly joining the community of practice that we have as learning ambassadors. As it's already been commented today, students learn better from other students, and that was certainly proved the case. They really did a great sell at our last e-learning event. So talking about communities of practice, many of the ideas that I've shared in our community at Hadlow have begun with sharing at previous Hueys that I've been to and in the Mahara newsletters. So as I've taken from so many of you, I thought it was time to just perhaps give back a little and just to thank you for your generous sharing of your developments, because it's made ours a better development. Thank you.